Hey, welcome in. It's not live from Studio K, but it's Cards After Dark. Johnny Venerable, Brack, PHNX Cardinals, your number one premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star. How about those beats, Brack, on a Sunday night?
Yeah, you're letting them thump, my man.
Oh, I just enjoy this song. It's a good song.
It's been here since the beginning, like our guy Johnny V. It's been here since the beginning. Been through a lot, and hopefully we're going to see a little bit brighter future for the team starting tomorrow. But man, it has been a monumental free agency tampering eve. First domino really to fall today was Davante Adams signing with the Los Angeles Rams. Big time deal there. Rams making their intentions known, and then we get DK Metcalf finally making his way out of the division. Headed to Pittsburgh, no quarterback. Apparently, they're going to be players for Sam Darnold as well as the Seahawks. I mean, it was a fast and furious Sunday here before tampering opens tomorrow morning.
Yeah, even the Cardinals got involved. We're going to talk about that. There's some mixed emotions about certain re-signing at edge rusher. We're going to break it all down. Plus, the latest with Milton Williams. The other areas the Cardinals plan to address potentially a sleeper position. Yeah, hit that like button. Super chats rolling in. We appreciate those. We appreciate all of you. This is our time to shine. We're excited about it. Again, welcome everybody. We got Mike, Low Tone Capone. Good to see you. We got our guy Shaft, Jessica. We got everybody here. And we're just loading up. If you're watching on Twitter, jump on over to YouTube. You get an opportunity to hit that like button. Yeah, it's been an eventful day for this little fanboy podcast that could.
Johnny did cook on the Twitter streets today. I mean, and I'm not just talking about the Cardinals news. It was also putting to bed somebody that should have been in bed a long time ago and out of the game, that continues to take shots at this podcast because they have nothing else better to do.
Sad.
Yeah, it is sad. It really is sad, the fall from grace. But look, we're actually talking about this team. We cover this team. We're at games. We're at the press conferences. We've got sources. We're locked in, and we're ready to tell you everything that we know. Less than 12 hours away? No, we're almost 12 hours away.
Almost 12 hours away,
man. And we'll just kick that door in and see what happens. But some
we gotta get
to look at. Yeah, what's up
with this super chat though? $100 from Alex, and unbelievable. Not to interrupt you, Bo. We usually save super chats for the end. This is so generous. Incredible coverage from Cardinal fans this season from PHNX and getting high-profile media sources to come talk about our cards. Keep crushing it, fellas. We appreciate you, Alex. We appreciate everybody here. That's why we're doing this stream tonight. That's why we're going to be locked and loaded like we always are Monday through Friday this week. And when Bo and I had our vision for this show and what we wanted it to be, it was always, well, we're a Cardinal fan. Bo's a Cardinal fan. Like, what do we want as Cardinal fans? And at the end of the day, you guys, all 500 plus that are watching right now, dictate that. And if we're able to provide any additional insight, Bo's constantly at the facility grinding. We're working the phones behind the scenes. We're going to do our best to do so. But you guys make this an incredible community, diehards or not. So we appreciate you. Alex, unbelievable way to kick off the show.
Yeah, thank you. Unbelievable gesture there. So thankful for guys and gals just like Alex and Johnny was kind of outlined there. And I'll echo those. It's just we want to be a part of this community. We wanted to help strengthen this community and it become just one of the elite fan bases in all of the NFL, of all of sports. And you got to do that with the camaraderie and the community that I think is budding as this team continues to trend upwards. But a lot of work to be put in as far as the team goes. They made strides last year. They got the right decision makers in place. But what's in store come tomorrow? That's what tonight's all about. The preview of an inexact science that is NFL free agency in the tampering period.
So where do you want to start? Should we start with our guy, Baron Browning, who returned on a 2-year deal? For the Arizona Cardinals is our guy Saul Bookman, All City family in the chat. We appreciate you, my guy. Baron Browning this morning. So I'm having my coffee and I'm sitting with my kids at the breakfast table. Yeah, sorry. That's a subtle shot at Bo Brock. And I'm looking at our work Slack, and Bo sends a tweet in from Rap Sheet. And I'm like, oh, are we getting a graphic ready? I haven't been notified. It's not free agency technically yet. And then I just see our head of content, Leah, just go boo. And I'm like, I don't even want to know what this is. And it was Baron Browning on a 2-year extension for $15 million. We're going to talk about what it means for the Cardinals this year and potentially for the rest of free agency. But Bo, your reaction to that re-upping?
Yeah, it wasn't as polarizing to me as it was to, Cardinals Twitter. I think that this just checks a box. It gives you depth. It keeps in-house a rotational piece, and one that you surrendered a draft pick at the trade deadline, and somebody that the coaching staff, the front office has a lot of confidence in to continue to grow his game like he did in the 8 games that he played for the Cardinals. I know he only notched 2 sacks, but if you're looking at this as Baron Browning is the Cardinals, belle of their free agency ball, then yeah, that's a big time issue. But if he's just, the leadoff hitter here to some bigger moves coming in the next 24, 48 hours, then that's great. Like right. I think Baron Browning has a spot in this rotation and can make plays for the team like he did down the stretch. But like I agree with you, Johnny. I don't think he's a starting caliber guy at this point in his career. But look, you had Zaven Collins and BJ Ojulari coming off of an ACL injury as far as your pass rush room. So you need to sign live bodies, and you don't want to put yourself in the same position that you were in last year where you're relying on the likes of, Aquaro or, Jesse Lucchetta. You need some guys to have some juice. And I think Baron Browning, I know you have to look at the analytics to find it, but he has the ability to kind of ratchet up the pressure and maybe get after a quarterback here and there.
Yeah, I think Baron Browning probably nationally and maybe within NFL inner circles is probably more thought of than he is with Cardinal fans. But I sympathize with Cardinal fans because who are the starting outside linebackers for this team right now? Zaven Collins and Baron Browning. Right now, if they had to play a game today, Bo, right?
Yeah.
Who are the 2 starting outside linebackers when the season ended? Those 2 players. And the Cardinals could not get a pressure at the end of last year. Hell, they couldn't get a pressure all season. And so do you want Baron Browning on your team? Sure, right? He's only 26 years old. It keeps the Ohio State pipeline, in vogue with the Arizona Cardinals. But that can't be the answer. And by the way, it's not the answer. We're going to get into that here in a second. But I also think the Denver Broncos did not want him. He fell out of favor with Vance Joseph, not a scheme fit. The Cardinals feel like entire offseason, I see people allude to it in the chat. I made a comment about it on Twitter earlier today. Can this be a little bit more beefed up Dennis Gardeck? Where could he start games for you? Sure. But he's a good athlete. You can pepper him in. Here's the reality of the situation. On a team with playoff NFC West aspirations, Zaven Collins and Baron Browning are not starters. They wouldn't start for the Rams. They wouldn't start for the Eagles. They wouldn't start, I think, for the Commanders after this free agency period, the Packers. But right now, it's the best the Cardinals can do. And I also think it speaks to what the Cardinals think of this at least free agent edge class, not the trade market. We know they love this draft class. Gannon told us that. This is a loaded draft class at defensive end. But I just feel like right now, Baron Browning, and, people were kind of rumbling locally here that the Cardinals were going to do a bunch of re-signing. It's almost 9:00 the night before. They re-signed one guy. And it was the one guy that, fair or not, analytically, people liked. So, again, we can sit here. I can say, $7.5 million. I'd rather pay him $4 million, $5 million. Have you seen some of these deals so far? That's not the going rate for players right now. Teams have a ton of money. There's not enough good players to sign. So, I don't hate it. I understand it. But to me, it's I'm with Cardinal fans. It's got to be coupled with something else. And if it's not, as you texted me earlier today, if we're sitting here and this is all we're eating on until the draft, I mean, it's going to be a long 6 weeks. Oh. It's going to be a long 6 weeks.
That's it. That would be a hell of a sweat. It would. And as far as your ability to truly upgrade the roster, that would be necessary to really keep yourself in the thick of things as far as this NFC West race. As I said, teams making their intentions known. Los Angeles Rams aren't content just getting and taking on the Philadelphia Eagles in the divisional round and taking them down to the wire in a snowy, Link Financial Stadium. Like they want to push to in the final years of Matthew Stafford's career as they inked him to a new extension. They want to be able to be Super Bowl contenders. They want to hoist the Lombardi Trophy. So the Rams are thick, or like in the thick of it as far as being a title contender, where, the Arizona Cardinals, like I don't think they can waffle in these next couple of days. They have to make a legitimate statement as far as upgrading their defensive front seven, like we've seen from several insiders that we've talked to over the last couple of weeks. Most recently, Mike Garafolo. I highly encourage you to check out that interview if you haven't done so between now and the start of free agency. And then also check out what Benjamin Albright's been saying. Like, this is not just like, hey, they want to do kind of just kind of run it back as far as how they operated last offseason, where it's like, hey, we're going to get some kind of like very mid-level defensive linemen, raise the talent floor guys. They, like Chris Sims says, they need some sizzle to this defense. They need some sizzle to this roster, and they need to do it before the NFL draft. And I know what they're capable of doing there. They need to show it now in free agency.
Yeah, we had a coach associated with the Cardinals once upon a time, came up to us at the NFL Combine and said B.J. Ojulari was going to have 10 sacks last year. Like that was the kind of, but then it didn't happen because he got injured, right? And so like that, when 2 seasons he's been hurt twice, can't count on him. He's going to be a part of the room. He'd be a great surprise if we're sitting here in September and, man, B.J. Ojulari looks great. Awesome. Can't wait to watch him. Can't count on him, right? Zaven Collins, 2 seasons at outside linebacker. It's probably about a 4 or 5 sack guy. Maybe a little bit better if you get him better, partners up front. And then Baron Browning's a guy. Baron Browning's has 11.5 sacks in 6 seasons in the NFL. So guys you want, guys who unequivocally are better than the Dumacagis, the Lucettas of the world, but they're not to that next tier, right? So I say all that, like, is Baron Browning a better value than Josh Sweat? Yes. Is he a better player right now? No. Could he be with Gannon and Ross and an upgraded defensive line? And could Josh Sweat potentially be overpaid by somebody? 1,000%. You're paying Zaven Collins and Baron Browning $13.5 million. Josh Sweat's going to get that plus about $4 or $5 million more, right? So when you think about that, okay, I understand the value of it, but sometimes the value position, like the Cardinals last year, they went value with Justin Jones and Bilal Nichols, and they got nothing. They would have been better off paying a premium for a premium player like Leonard Williams and company, and that bit him in the ass, right? So, like, I understand people being skeptical, Bo, of saying, okay, you know what? I understand it's a depth move. That better be it. Now, I'm told earlier today, confirmation, like the Cardinals know what they have in him. Right. They like him. He's athletic. I mean, people are still talking about he's athletic. He's been in the league 6 years. Like, we've got tape. We know he's athletic. He cannot win for them on third down consistently. Right. That's what they need. They have nobody. I mean, Baron Browning played in that fourth quarter against the Minnesota Vikings. Crickets, right? He played in the fourth quarter against the Rams, right? Those games, the Cardinals, Geno Smith, that they had to have, the pass rush wasn't there. They couldn't make guys uncomfortable. So, but the Cardinals know that. And I think this is just an appetizer for this week so that whomever they add this week, next week, and in the draft, all of those pieces combined plus Baron Browning looks better. And I can get around that.
So let's take a look at this chat right here. Kingdom Apologetics, celebrating mediocrity. So typical. I don't think anybody's celebrating the signing of Baron Browning. I think it's just people are just saying hum, checking a box, keeping a guy in-house. Like the only guy that, I think that you should have, put any type of priority as far as impending free agents. I mean, we're going to see tomorrow, as you've outlined before, like the Roy Lopez's of the world, like the Will Hernandez is coming off an ACL tear. Evan Brown, Dennis Gardeck coming off a knee injury. Like, those are guys that are going to have, like, their market is going to materialize after these first couple days of tampering deeper into free agency. Nobody's going to be calling up their representation and saying, hey, we need to get a deal done now. There's going to be time for that. But I think there was going to be a market for Baron Browning that if you drug your feet on it, there was a very likely chance that he was going to leave the organization. So why not, with the chance to negotiate him with him right now, just check that box. Make sure that you've got that guy on your roster, and then you've got him in your rotation still, and you can just be you can sleep a little bit better tonight, knowing that when you wake up in the morning, like, sure, the bigger moves, you're going to be working on that. But like, nobody was anticipating like Monti Ossenfort, the Cardinals, getting in on these pre-free agency guys. Like, those are the guys that are going to command, some interesting deals, but also and they were also guys that they were cast off from their respective teams beforehand. And there's some red flags, and they're usually some older players. Like we saw, like Davante Adams is in his 30s now. Like, those are guys that, the Cardinals, they've got a little younger profile of what they want to do.
Yeah. And that profile starts tomorrow. Any other insight, comments on Baron Brown? And again, like, I think where it scared off a lot of people was they're hedging, right? They're doing this to protect themselves if they strike out, right? Yeah. And I do think to some degree that is what they're doing. You got to have guys that are capable of starting, but that it is not going to preclude them from pursuing better options. Let's talk about those better options right now. Okay, let's first start with Milton Williams. As we reported on Friday, I dropped an article, gophnx.com. You guys can read it right now. It's 100% for free. We appreciate those. I appreciate that. Those of you who are diehards, it's a primer for the primer that is free agency that starts tomorrow. And then today, I reported Milton Williams is their top target. Like, we had speculated that. I got a firm, like, this is what they want to do. Okay. The Cardinals want to get a deal done with Milton Williams tomorrow morning. Okay. The Cardinals are going to be amongst 3 to 4 teams that are going to be competing for his services. The Cardinals have a number that they're comfortable with that we talked about it, gets them at the table. Okay. That number is over $20 million. Okay. I don't think it would eclipse $25 million per year. I think you're looking at a sweet spot of about 21, 22, 23. And then you're using your head coach. You're using Paradise Valley. You're using what they're building here. You're getting Nick Rallis involved. That's where the Cardinals are at. So I'd love to be able to say it's Milton Williams or bust for them. And in a lot of ways it is. But the Cardinals even have a price. And we'll know. This podcast will be able to tell you that if they don't get Milton Williams tomorrow, it's because of another team grossly overpaying him. And as much as Ossenfort needs this, he needs a win, doesn't he?
Yeah.
In the worst way. At the end of the day, you cannot be in a position where you're paying Milton Williams $27, $28, $29, $30 million a year.
Yeah.
Because he's just not that kind of player. But Patriots, Chargers, Vikings, Panthers, those are the teams we're watching right now. Maybe the Vikings.
I know our GM or our guy Saul Bookman, former GM, but higher up there in all the ALLCITY ranks, is probably going to hate this. That this is how I'm going to share Mac Wilson's tweet. It's just going to be via my phone on camera. Yeah. But he uses a picture that I snapped at a Gannon press conference that Johnny likes to use quite a bit. But this was the Mac Wilson tweet just a moment ago. A smiling Jonathan Gannon and a Monti Ossenfort doing work on the phone tomorrow, and then he's got the rocket taking off emoji. Mac Wilson, does he know something that we don't know? Sorry, Saul. We're doing the best that we can here.
We're self-producing. Your boy is self-producing. We're keeping the train on the tracks for the people.
Oh man. But look, we love to see it from Mac Wilson. He's always in the thick of it as far as on social media. But yeah, I mean, what we heard from Gannon when we talked to him in our exclusive, look, I wanted to share it with the people. That's all we're trying to do is get it up there and share. You can go in there and you can feel like you have a really competitive deal, but the crapshoot that is free agency, like it's just an inexact science, and guys are going to go either to the highest bidder or what makes the most sense for their families or their situation. And it's, they can have a really competitive offer for Milton Williams and still get bested, maybe because, New England comes in over the top by a couple mil, or you've got, Washington or Carolina or Minnesota that's going to come in and be able to kind of sweeten the pot with unforeseen, persuasion. So, I think that it's just good to know that the Arizona Cardinals and Monti Ossenfort are going to call his representation at Clutch tomorrow and give the most competitive offer to make sure that they are doing everything within their power to upgrade their defensive front seven.
They're trying, and that's the only player within free agency that I believe they're going to go over $20 million for. There is nobody else, not Josh Sweat, not Javon Hargraves, who was just cut. None of these guys, not Will Fries, Will Fries' contract is going to be super gross.
Yeah, Pete Prisco was saying that today, like good guards, the way that the guard market is materializing, are going to get paid great guard money.
Yeah.
And if that's, something that Robert Hunt got last year and Will Fries is going to command a $100 million plus contract, then you should probably thank your lucky stars that you've got a GM that's going to say, I'm going to pump the brakes on that, because it's not worth the investment. It's probably worth taking a look at the guards in this draft class, or doing what they've been able to do. Like you told me via text today, Johnny, it's like they've shown the ability to develop, interior offensive linemen and develop just offensive linemen in general.
They can get by with Evan Brown and Kelvin Beachum and some draft picks. Here's where they can't get by: nickel and diamond on the defensive line. Enough is enough, right? And so I want to be able to sit here and say they're going to get Milton Williams. And this isn't news to anybody. We're not going to break that story when that comes out. Rap Sheet, or more likely Diana Rossini or somebody like that, is going to break that news in the morning tomorrow afternoon. But I think what we're trying to echo is that you can take solace in knowing, like, that's their target. They're going to go for them, and hopefully they get them. But here's where it becomes interesting, Bo. If they don't get him, what do they do next then? What's the pivot point? I don't think the pivot point is as conventional as get Josh Sweat, get X free agent, move over here. I think that, for the people, and we're going to talk about Trey Hendrickson here in a second, that want to talk about different avenues to get better and exploring potentially the trade market and doing a trade and lucrative extension, I think that's where that really gets kicked up a notch, because you are not getting better signing players that were just cut by Seattle and San Francisco. I like Javon Hargraves, like, in a week and a half, as a dessert to something that you get this week. Javon Hargraves and Baron Browning cannot be your premier additions here come tomorrow into Tuesday, Wednesday, Bo.
No, yeah, that would be just kind of a repeat of last year, right? As you kind of sit on the sidelines and you try to raise the talent floor, but you really don't make any kind of move that's going to have true impact as far as winning football games down the stretch. Like you can add guys to rotation, you can add depth pieces, but as far as guys that, offenses or defenses are going to have to game plan for, that's where you're going to kind of fall short of it. And that's going to be, that's what Arizona Cardinals fans have been skeptical since last offseason through this season and going into this offseason of their general manager, because otherwise Monti Ossenfort has checked a ton of boxes, right? What you've seen from him, his ability to tear things down, rebuild them, build through the draft, find developmental guys that are going to fit the scheme. But at the same time, when it came down to it, especially on the defensive front, you found yourself really kind of wanting more from this team and its ability to kind of pin its ears back, make a play, and win a football game.
Let's take a look at our top 10 free agents that we had discussed, Bo, on Friday, and what has become of this list. Will Fries, Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, the top three. Harold Landry, we can cross off at number 8. He is signing with from Tennessee to the New England Patriots. Tevin Jenkins, Dre Greenlaw rounded out. I think you can add Javon Hargraves to this list. You can add, there are numerous players that have been. Jonathan Allen probably would be worth adding to this list. I think the Cardinals right now, when you look at this, Bo, I mean, Milton Williams, clearly number one. Then do the Cardinals say, There's another defensive lineman. Like the interesting thing, and we're going to talk about Trey Hendrickson here in a second, is if they don't get Milton Williams and they re-sign Baron Browning, do they panic and sign Josh Sweat just to say that they signed a marquee free agent? What happens if Jonathan Allen goes to the San Francisco 49ers? What happens, Bo, if the defensive line class gets gobbled up quickly when you're attempting to court Milton Williams, right? Now, they have pivot points. It's not an all or nothing. But I do think it's important to emphasize here that, like, I don't know their backup plan to Milton Williams, right? I know that we've had Benjamin Albright on this show emphasize Josh Sweat. We've had other people connect the dots there. But I do think, and this is what one thing you can take away from Browning earlier today, do I think that the Baron Browning edition makes it like less likely they add Josh Sweat? I do. Not dramatically. But you can't tell, like the Cardinals are drafting an edge rusher and they signed Baron Browning and they have Zaven Collins. It's like, how many spots are there?
Gannon and Rawlis have been upfront about this and transparent about how deep they like that rotation, interior wise and guys coming off the edge. They like guys to play high 50%, 60% of the snaps. They like a rotation of 5 to 6 guys. And I think that Baron Browning and Zaven Collins could complement and kind of back up the next 2 people you add to your roster to that room. Like we've heard it from multiple people, Garofalo, Benjamin Albright, that they are going to be aggressive in rebuilding this defensive line. And I forgive you for not catching it, who said it in the chat. Like, you can't nickel and dime this thing. Like, you almost have too much cap space to where you can't just like, hey, we're just gonna go to the bargain bin and we're gonna get as many $4.99 DVD Blu-rays that we can with our Walmart gift card. But I think that it becomes kind of like what your draft board looks like. Like Milton Williams is your guy, right? He's your best player available, and he fits your need and all of that. Where I think that they will pivot to Josh Sweat, where they would see that as their ability to kind of really kind of up the talent pool on their defensive front seven. So I don't think it would be like a panic move. It just wouldn't be their number one preferred move.
Let's talk a little Trey Hendrickson. Okay, so let's just assume that the Cardinals do not get Milton Williams tomorrow. I think it keeps them alive for Trey Hendrickson. Not that it wouldn't otherwise, but we've reported on this dating back to last year's trade deadline. By the way, we got 1,300 people watching live. Hit that like button, subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. The like button does so much for us, as does your subscriptions, as we're barreling toward 40,000 subscribers here on PHNX Sports. Trey Hendrickson is going to be courted by a number of teams, including the Washington Commanders. I alluded to that in my article on Saturday night, that I was told behind the scenes that people among league inner circles believe the Cardinals and Commanders are going to be trading jabs for some top edge rushers. And I was specifically like either Sweat or via a trade. Now, we'll talk about Micah Parsons maybe later, but Hendrickson fits the build for a couple different reasons. Obviously, if the Bengals are serious about doing this, which we do not know if they are, they're not dealing Hendrickson within the AFC. It has to be a team that can take on his, lengthy cap demands, his salary demands, which is now over $30 million. And I'm sure that the, Myles Garrett deal impacted that. The Commanders and the Cardinals can do that. And so, reached out to the same source I've been speaking with regard to this. And by the way, this was double sourced on Friday. The Cardinals did inquire. It's not dead. I don't know if they're going to execute or not. But again, it's a pivot point potentially is what I would treat it as, depending on how tomorrow goes. Like, if they strike out Milton Williams, this would seem like a very logical, like, okay, what do we need to do to beef this up? How do we get some juice here? Because I'm going to tell you right now, nobody on the roster that they have, and they know this, save for Darius Robinson at full force, can win one-on-one on third down. Baron Browning can't do it. Zaven Collins can't do it. Dante Stills shouldn't be asked to do it consistently. Milton Williams can. Trey Hendrickson can. So I think that's kind of where things stand right now. But I'm going to tell you right now, and everybody's asking, like, what's his market? Who's going to trade for him? I'm not convinced the Bengals are going to do it. I mean, Micah Parsons hasn't been traded yet. Myles Garrett wasn't traded. Max Crosby wasn't traded. You're telling me the Bengals, in a position to potentially make the playoffs, make a playoff run. They're loading things up. I know it's a cheap organization, and they've got some of the same stigma that impacts the Cardinals historically. They're going to trade their best defensive player for a second-round pick. I got to see it to believe it, but the teams like the Cardinals and the Commanders are interested in if they do.
Yeah, I mean, it's a competitive market. I think that the market's going to probably make the Bengals do that deal because I mean they're paying Mike Gesicki.
I know,
close to $30 million as a tight end, right? And they still have to figure out what they're going to do long term with T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase still has to get paid. So there's and then Joe Burrow's contract's going to kick in. Like there's not enough salary cap space really to go around and pay everybody. Trey Hendrickson, because of how competitive his market and because the demand, because some of these guys like Myles Garrett never truly hit the market. You know, Garofalo told us that he expects Parsons maybe to be kind of like a post-draft deal if it happens before training camp. So it's going to take a while for that materialize. I think that Trey Hendrickson is I think it still remains a very real option. But then as you're pointing out, it's just competitive. Like Washington, their roster is probably in a way better spot to where they can yield the draft capital. And then I think salary cap, both Cardinals and Washington, they should be in a position to pay Trey whatever he wants, and he doesn't have the criteria that Myles Garrett had, where it's like, you trade me to absolute contender and then get the money right too. It's like Trey Hendrickson, the reports are, I believe it was Diana Rossini saying like, he doesn't have to go to a ready-made contender. Like he would welcome
wants to be paid.
Yeah, he wants to get paid, and he wants a one-way ticket out of Cincinnati, I think, at this point.
Yeah. And again, like Micah Parsons, we had Garofalo on our show Thursday. He thinks he's going to be dealt. I think with this, how is he not dealt with this Myles Garrett situation? Now, the Cardinals cannot afford to wait for Micah Parsons. Now, if they got to a point where they signed Milton Williams and they just kept the phone on. See, the Milton Williams thing is so critical for a number of different reasons because it allows the Cardinals to keep their options open.
Yeah.
They don't have to be reactionary. You can get your big ticket free agent that signifies what you want to do, and then you can kind of peruse around and keep your phone line open for Cincinnati or Dallas, which we know they're interested in. So again, like the problem with missing on Milton Williams, and we'll know here probably about 18 hours if they are able to complete the deal or not, is it almost makes a trade for Hendrickson or somebody of that caliber a mandate, or you're going to lose people in this fan base. If we fast forward to the draft and it's Baron Browning and it's Joe Blow, defensive lineman from the Seahawks that they worked out.
Yeah.
And it's just, I'm just going to call a spade. It's mid-city, right? You're signing guys to 2-3-year deals, $20 million, $25 million. And it's like, that is not what you need. You can make an argument last year you needed that, okay? And we defended it at the time. Your roster won 8 games. I put it in my article. 8 of your 9 losses were to playoff teams. You need star players. You need ass kickers on third down. Like getting guys that are being cut by other franchises right now because they're not good enough. And I know like Hargraves, he was too expensive, but he's old. The Cardinals, you have waited 2 years to do this. You have just shy of $80 million. I just feel like right now we're in a position to watch. Ossenfort has immense amount of pressure on him right now to land this plane. I mean, it's going to be very interesting.
I can say this about the Myles Garrett deal, which was unbelievable to see this morning. $40 million per season. Yeah. Just keep in mind, just like the Deshaun Watson signing where they gave him $230 plus, and it was every single red cent was guaranteed. Like that doesn't change the market. Like I think Max Crosby, like that's the Cleveland tax. That's how they keep players in Cleveland playing for the Browns is they have to like overpay the market value for like $5 million. Let's just say that's the Cleveland tax just to keep players there. So it's as far as Hendrickson, when you're looking like, does that change what his market's going to look like? I think it's still similar, just about 30 ballpark, what Garofalo was telling us on Thursday to get him done and keep him happy.
Yeah. But very real. Is it going to be real 24 hours from now? I think we'll know definitively where the Cardinals kind of direction they're going. But a couple other things I just want to hit on. We'll continue. We got almost 20 super chats. almost 1,500 people watching live. Hit that like button, okay? If you're watching on Twitter, find the link. We'll retweet it again. Smash that like button here.
The lore of Joe Blow is it's taken off right now. I mean, the chat has him running a 4.35. They love his PFF grade. They love Joe Blow. So let's take it easy on him. You can't go in on Joe Blow like you do Gardeck every other day. It's
just there's too much smoke around Ossenfort right now. Like, he's got pride. He understands what's at hand here. So we know the Cardinals want to add a guard. We know they want to add an off-ball linebacker. I think and we know that, as Garofalo said, they're going to look at backup quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. All three of those markets are a disaster right now. Okay. The guard market's a disaster. The linebacker market picked up today. You got Kazir White talking about off-ball linebackers getting paid. He's like, yeah, hell yeah. I'm like, go get your money, man. I tweeted that at him. I'm like, awesome. And then the quarterback market, Daniel Jones, like, is probably more well thought of than he is on Twitter within league circles. Like, Daniel Jones might start for somebody week 1. So I'm gonna throw a nugget out to everybody right now, and this is exclusive to PHNX Cardinals. The Cardinals are going to sign a veteran corner. Okay. They want to add depth and veteran leadership to their secondary. Okay. They've got a bunch of young players. Okay. You know how we feel about Baron Brown on this podcast. They're adding a veteran corner as early as this week. Somebody that is under 30 years old, that's got athleticism. It's not much more I can say about that. Yeah. They want to be in a position to add to a secondary where you can never have enough defensive backs. So we've kind of heard some rumblings like that's happening this week, corner. And so we want to put that out there because at the end of the day, guys, like, if they come out and they sign a corner before they get something done on the defensive line, people are going to be freaking out. Like, they want more veteran depth in their secondary. I don't know what that means for Keitrell Clark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would pump the brakes, I would think, on the Darius Slay talk. There
just
are
the
some
type that I was told that they want is a veteran, but not somebody who's over the hill.
Right. And look, it makes sense. It's just like what we've seen, I think, over the last couple of years. Like, you didn't want to have a veteran in place that's going to impede the development of these young guys that they were going to draft and want to get some snaps. But I think now they're at the point, it's like, oh, we need to add a couple more, years to those rooms. Like, you've got guys now like Starling Thomas going in his third, Keitrell Clark as well. Same thing for Garrett Williams. You're going to have Max Melton and Elijah Jones. Like, Melton going into year 2, Elijah Jones is going to go into like basically year 1. So you still have a ton of youth. Why not get a veteran presence in there? I think that would pay off for this team. A guy that's been in the league, probably throughout their rookie deal and is now looking for their first contract after the first team that they played with. So that's interesting because it's kind of been an overlooked position, but it does, now looking back, look to be a spot that they need to address and just make sure that they've got, that spot taken care of.
But again, priority remains the defensive line. And I mean, they don't have a left guard and they don't have an off-ball linebacker to go next to Mack Wilson Sr. Now, sounds like the off-ball linebacker market could take off tomorrow with Dre Greenlaw, who's got an offer from the 49ers. Again, I think it would be so impressive for Ossenfort to get Milton Williams and then to turn around and get something like Dre Greenlaw. Steal from, like, don't take somebody else's scraps that they're cutting. Steal one of the players that they love in their locker room, right? It's like Bobby Wagner once upon a time. Jumped around. I mean, those off-ball linebacker deals are aging a little bit better. I don't know what the Cardinals plan to do with Kazir White, but, he posted goodbye on social media about a month ago. Do they rethink that? I guess it's possible, right? They could always draft one, hopefully not too early, but I mean, like, it's all moot. The secondary edition, the linebacker edition, it's moot if you can't get the pass rush right. Like, you can sell, like, Owen Pappo can start for this team. Keitrell Clark and Starling Thomas can start for this team if the pass rush is good, right? Everyone wants to slobber all over Cooper DeJean. He's a good player. Quinyon Mitchell. This is one of the best defensive fronts we've seen, the Philadelphia Eagles this past year. Like, the Cardinals, like, they can emulate that. Go out and spend the money to do so tomorrow. You can't nickel and dime defensive linemen. The NFL is too smart. They know who can play. They know who can't. Leonard Williams got big money last year because guess what? He's a big-time player, right? Justin Matabuke, same thing. Cardinals like, we're going to go dollar store DVD, bar bin shopping, and that's what you got in return. Hell, the DVD wouldn't even play, right? You got two guys who were injured. Bilal Nichols, when he was healthy, did not look good. So this is very much you get what you pay for. What did Benjamin Albright tell us on the show? You're paying A money to B players. Well, the Cardinals last year paid B and C money to DNF players, and it was unfortunate.
They need an A. They need an A signing. It's long over. No, it's not long over. Like, I understand that they were just following the assignment year 1, year 2, and they weren't going to lock into somebody that they couldn't guarantee either A, that they weren't going to stand in the way of somebody they wanted to draft in April, and B, somebody that's going to hold down salary cap dollars and put themselves in a position to really cash in now. So look. Milton Williams is there. You need Milton Williams. It's really just going to be fascinating to see how this team navigates if they can't lock it in.
Everybody, like this video. Subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. We got almost 20 super chats. We're going to jump into them here in a second, but just to kind of recap, Milton Williams remains the top target. Baron Browning is a rotational piece. That's how the Cardinals view him. They are super high on this edge class. We get it, but they understand the task in hand. And I still believe, and we will bang this drum. I feel even better when somebody here locally tries to throw water on it. I feel even better about it. The Cardinals play in the market of, we're going to offer picks for proven player at edge rusher, and we're going to pay that player. The Cardinals could trade for Micah Parsons. The Cardinals could trade for Trey Hendrickson. That fits their timeline. They have been having those conversations consistently since the trade deadline. Why would they not call on Trey Hendrickson now? If they called on Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, and Micah Parsons and said, hey, are you open? This is what we'd be willing to do. We have the cap space. We have the draft capital. We have a quarterback. I mean, like, Trey Hendrickson, the only negative is his years. But everything I read about Trey Hendrickson is he's going to age really well, right? You can't project injury, but, like, I'm sorry, if his sack production goes from 17.5 to like 14, 13, I think we'll survive.
Yes, please.
We'll be okay.
Yes, please. Like, man, I was really underwhelmed. He didn't lead the league in sacks for another year, back-to-back seasons. But look, if he would still, triple the team's leading sack getter the previous 2 seasons. We need it. We're doing a mock draft. We're going to kick that can continually down the road. We'll do another mock draft. I think
you know the answer. We need our producer to do a mock draft
before the eve of the actual draft. I think that's when we'll get our actual next mock draft. And our guy Fran Duffy's got his latest mock draft actually at gophnx.com. I highly recommend you check that out. He did a 3-rounder. It's a banger. We had an intervention with Fran. You guys witnessed most of it live on air when he gave us his first thought of who to put mock to the Cardinals at 16. We talked him out of it. Chief negotiators over here. We got it done, and I think we got a decent pick in there, and I like what he's done in the next 2 rounds. But look, where else were we going here? The quarterback thing, and I know we touched on it a little bit, but Garofalo, he reiterated that last week too, where it's just like they're going to be really surveying that market, and like you have to kind of get beyond Daniel Jones because he's in such a unique spot, right? People believe so much into Kevin O'Connell, quarterback whisperer, and like Minnesota seems to be a heavy favorite for him to stay there. And then, what's going on in Anthony Richardson and the faith that's been lost there in Indianapolis, could DJ get into a better spot, more attainable starting role than he would here in the desert, where he would be firmly QB2. So like, you can't kind of use that as an ace up your sleeve, like saying, hey, like things get out of hand here. Like you could make your way, but they're going to be like, we're firmly in Kyler Murray business here, and we're not going to waver from that. So I don't think that's a reality. But you start to look at kind of the secondary market, Gardner Minshew, Jacoby Brissett, like you've got some guys that have been holding down QB2 spots and doing a decent clip that I think you'd feel more comfortable with than you have the last 2 years.
I think the names that I keep going back to when I tried to figure out like a definitive name. We don't have any, and I think we feel pretty confident Daniel Jones is not going to be a Cardinal, which, you know, I don't think anybody's crying over. The Jacoby Brissett is the name we had heard last year. That makes a ton of sense. 32, 33 years old, consummate pro. I mean, I think getting Jacoby Brissett around Kyler Murray, I think would benefit everybody involved. I mean, like, who's the backup for the Ravens? Is it Josh Johnson? I mean, there are a couple different guys. I mean, I think they want somebody that can move a little bit, and that's not a knock on Clayton Tune. I think they want a veteran who's probably approaching 30 or over 30 that can move a little bit, like Dobbs could, right? Like in a perfect world. If Dobbs hadn't burned that bridge with the franchise after he was dealt, like, right. But again, like that's the kind of guy that they're looking for, that can make plays, that can come in, that can be a spark plug if you have to. And that can also be like, hey, Kyler Murray, I've seen some shit. Like, let's talk about this on the sideline. He has not had that. That's no knock on Clayton Tune. Desmond Ridder was not that guy. He was the opposite of that guy. He had no experience and he was limited athletically. So I think, like, when you expect that kind of move to happen, I would say, like, probably at the end of this week, maybe they're going to sign somebody. And I think, like, the Cardinals, that's an attractive opening. I know a lot of people are like, well, Kyler's the guy, and I think there's an attractiveness to come here, especially if the money's right, and say, like, we're year to year with Kyler Murray. We really like Kyler Murray, but we want you to come in here and elevate our quarterback room. And then I think this person who they sign is probably going to get a multi-year deal. If they get a 2 or 3 year deal, come be a backup like Colt McCoy style. I mean, could you sell them on the idea of, and we might have a rookie one day, and you might be able to work with that rookie, and you might be able to start games here. I don't know. I think Minshew would be great. I don't know if Minshew fits what. I think Minshew might have a more attractive market elsewhere. I think Brissett is just beaten down enough where it's like England slumming around, Browns once upon a time. Like that feels, if the Cardinals signed Jacoby Brissett, everybody collectively, we got 1,600 people watching back. Makes sense. I get that. Let's get Jacoby Brissett in the building over in Tempe.
Yeah, he's got the mobility a little bit more than your guy Gardner Minshew. And some people saying, Tim saying
beat the Jets last year.
Did
beat the Jets last year.
We want to get to these super chats.
Yeah, let's do it. Everybody like this video, subscribe. How about this? $20 kicking things off. Our guy Reezy baby, $20. Any news on Hendrickson? Can we please talk about if we sign 2 players for $25 million a year, doesn't mean $50 million cap this year? That is true. Monti wants to be aggressive and get Trey Milton plus a inside linebacker. It isn't a limiting factor. As Bo reminded me today, they can sign whomever they want for however much money, and they have to spend money. They cannot keep nickel and dime in these deals for Joe Blows, right? They have to sign some people, and they should want to. Like this, if this is your career, if you're mining Ossenfort, like this is your livelihood. This is your resume, your reputation, your legacy. Like, go out and make the most of it. You're probably never going to get to be a GM again if this doesn't work in the next couple of years. So all that to say, Bo, I think Hendrickson is still very much in play, and it's really predicated, I think, on the first 24 or 36 hours. Like, if the Bengals were dead set on dealing Hendrickson, he would have been traded today with DK Metcalf and all these other moves that have been happening.
They drag their feet, though. They're infamously slow to negotiate and get deals done. Joey Kennedy, ecstatic. I got to see Johnny Berry directly. I think we were all ecstatic to see that. Very well played today by our guy Johnny V on the Twitter streets. It was long overdue. Guy just kept on coming after us.
Keep our podcast name out of your mouth.
Jason, $5. This is probably my 800 plus in a row watch. Never miss. Suffered those last several off seasons with you. Let's effing go the next 24 hours. Jason and Prescott. Thank you so much, Jason. We appreciate
Jason,
that.
we love you, brother.
Absolutely. We love this. That's what we love about this. Getting to do this show and this fan base. About Hayden for $2.
Yeah. Prayers for tomorrow. Also, a CMC cooked. Well, my son won't wear his $80 CMC youth jersey that he had to have. So I think that's a big yes. I think that's a good sign that CMC is cooked. But we need all the prayers to the football gods tomorrow. Like, I texted Bo today before talking to some people and just the reaction that Baron Browning traded. I'm like, Why am I already defeated? Like, I have PTSD. Why is this already happening? Like, and that's not the right. If Baron Browning had been signed like Tuesday after Milton Williams, we'd all be like, hell yeah, good move. Nice job, Monty. Love, good depth. Nice job. But because it comes before everything, and we're all worried it's going to be a repeat of the last 2 off seasons, we're all like, I don't know. This could be bad.
Can't be the only move. Can't be the only move. How about Daniel Barnett? $2. Seattle is buried along with Mike Jurecki's career.
Don't come for our show, man. Don't do it.
We played nice for far too long. How about Brandon Freights, $4.99? Are Jalen Thompson and Joey Williams still cut candidates? Great question.
I'd probably lean on the side of no at this point, because Ossenfort told us Jonah Williams will be on the team. And I mean, like, Jalen Thompson, Bo, you've made this point consistently. Like, they don't need his $10 million. Now, if you want to sign Milton Williams and trade for Trey Hendrickson, you probably need his $10 million, right? So I think that, I mean, it'd be a sucky thing to do, but I think right now I would lean toward they're both on the team, but that could change at any point within the next couple of weeks. They don't know who's going to become available or who they could get. They have targets in mind, no doubt, but I would say right now they're on the team. And I mean, they're good players.
Right. How about our guy Gio Casey jumping in? Cache Young signing.
I'm going to shed some light on these next 2 super chats, because it's our guy Brian A. Perusing around as a certain ex.
Is he really?
It is Brian, yeah. Damon figured that out once upon a time. Brian A. says, not Mike Jurecki, Brian A. says, I grill and juicy steak right now, and you are mad that I call out your sources. We are not same. And Bo, tell your kids, I made your career. How about that? And then Brian A. comes back and says, I would never donate to a fanboy podcast. I told Brian, I said, get your ass back here. I need Brian A. I don't need to see this schlub. Michael Evans, $5. Please don't get any player over $50 million. Bidwell needs a new plan. Here, let's put something to bed right now. Ossenfort is in charge of the cap. Michael Bidwell wants to spend money. I know that people, our guy, Tyler from Bird Gang said he heard that Bidwell is cool with spending money. They're going to spend money. Bidwell, they have to spend money. The league makes them spend money. Bidwell let Kai max out all the credit cards. It's not a Bidwell thing. It's a Ossenfort and how he wants to team build, and specifically Ossenfort and Kenny recruit and get the job done.
How about this $2 from Ben, the Cardinals fan? Cards will sign Russell for unlimited diarrhea.
Could you imagine Russ being Kyler Murray's backup? That'd be electric.
Can you imagine DK going to Pittsburgh and having to endure Russell Wilson again?
Oh, man. That'd be great. Minsky, $4.99. Hopefully Milton Williams will want to come to Arizona. Here. But as the famous saying goes, you can lead Johnny to steak, but can you make him eat it? It's a great point. The great man once said, Milton Williams.
I'm gonna use that. Speaking to my kid, that's what I'm gonna tell him. You can lead a man to steak, but can't make him eat it like Johnny. He's gonna cut it up into little.
No one talks about it anymore. I guess that story is just dead now. Gannon night, $9.99. Strong feeling the Cardinals are going to go big tomorrow. I hope so. I mean, we've been told that for weeks. But they got to do it. They got to flip and do it. They haven't done it yet. And you got Diana Racine. I don't know if you saw this, Bo, before the show. People are saying there's tampering going on because she tweeted out an image of Morgan Moses and basically said Morgan Moses, despite the Jets wanting to re-sign him, is going to hit the open market. And the graphic she tweeted had a Patriots logo on it. So she'd already created the logo because she knew he was going to go to the Patriots. Then she deleted the tweet.
Oh, no.
Now people are pissed. They think she's tampered. And we love Diana Racine, friend of the program, but that's a big no-no. So, I mean, teams are talking. Agents are talking. We know that. That's how these deals get done right at 9 a.m. tomorrow.
Yeah, I would start. Look, I'm with you again. I was having a conversation with Johnny on my phone while I was perusing the grocery store. I was doing some pro scouting of the iced coffees and stuff like that. And it almost brought me to my knees, the idea that they might not spend and land a big ticket free agent in our we'd have to still abstain from caffeine and sweet treats like Johnny and
I
Damon's
can't
gonna have to
even
stay in the lab.
comprehend that
No.
happening. That would be so demoralizing. But then the Baron Browning deal happened. I'm like, that ain't good.
Jake, over under 25.5 milli spent on new players tomorrow. Well, if they get Milton Williams, that will quickly get over 25.5. I mean, if you look at last year with Sean Murphy Bunting, Bilal Nichols, and Justin Jones, they got after it. They were active. They just didn't get any kind of A players there. But Easy Money Chubbs, love the username. You trade 16 for Parsons.
Yes,
it's going to take a bit
also
more.
would do that. Yes.
Yeah.
And then we give him $40 million. Yeah.
Jason, $2. This might be the Michael Wilson Reddick sign. Is it Mac Wilson?
No, Milton Williams. Reddick sign, draft
development. Too many MWs on this squad.
I don't know where Hassan Reddick's going to go. I would say Baron Browning being re-signed isn't good for Reddick. But again, Reddick, and it's like Reddick and Baron Browning do different things. So you could sell me on that. Like, get Reddick in here for a year to be a pass rush guy. Baron Browning does everything else well. He's super athletic, but it's got to start with the big man. Josh, speaking of that, $5, Bo, Milton Williams, and Dre Greenlaw. I think that'd be great. Everything else is icing on the cake. Land the plane, Monty. I mean, how long do you want to just have the label? I mean, they've had the label. This will be the third straight year going into the season that they have the label as the worst front seven in the NFL. Like, at some point, we can't blame Steve Keim for that. At some point, you got to be like, hey, Monty, you could have had Jonathan Grenard or Daniil Hunter, or ex-player in the draft. Like, this is a byproduct of poor decision making. I put in my article, like, if they were to sign Josh Sweat tomorrow for a deal, and people are like, oh, that's a little much. You can't. That was a controllable thing that they could have avoided, but because of the decision making, they have to do it, right? And I'm not going to behoove them for doing that, right? But here's what you can't do: not do anything. You can't sit here and not do anything and just say we don't love Josh Sweat at $18 million. Tough shit. You need to do something to help your secondary. That's got a lot of aspiring young players, to help your offense get more opportunities. Kyler Murray will be better if you give him a couple extra possessions.
For sure.
They got no juice up front. So this is the bed you made, man.
Yeah. Brian P, $20. Thank you so much. Very generous super chat.
Brian's awesome on Twitter too. Give him a follow.
Over 1,800 people watching, by the way. If you're watching via X, Twitter, jump in on the YouTube chat and drop a like. Realistically, how many edge and DT could we keep going into season?
Great question.
Combine. Also, first coffee for Bo and first bag of Skittles on me. Let's go. Absolutely. And then some. I could go get the fanciest coffee. $20.
Bo, you break down. You've better sense of this than I would, how many defensive linemen they would keep.
Yeah, so I mean, you don't have right now. You got Bilal Nichols, Justin Jones, Dante Stills, Darius Robinson under contract. Guys like Goodlow and stuff that are going to vie for a roster spot, maybe practice squad guys. But I think you've got 4 guys that you can trust in your rotation right now. You add to that, like you get to 5. Do you have the true nose that you need on the roster yet? I don't think so. So you got to find that. Whether that's draft or free agency, they'll probably have to add one free agency just to make sure they've got that checked off. So like let's say 4, but you've got a glaring hole at nose, and then you've got the pass rush room, 2 guys that are healthy, and Baron Browning and Zaven Collins, and then you're looking at BJ Ojulari coming back. So you've got, especially edge, you like to keep 6 outside linebackers. So you got a long way to go. We heard
they like Xavier Thomas. I think there's just
they
got to see more from him. There's limitations there. They just don't have any. They don't have anything proven. They have no proven commodities. Like the guys the Bo just outlined are good guys and are athletic and should be in anybody's position unit group. Unlike the last couple of years, none of them can say, "Well, I've gotten 12 sacks before," or I'm a hot shot edge rusher. I prove it every year. None of that. And the time to kind of hope was last year, and it blew up in their face, and they lost the one player at edge rusher they couldn't lose. Now you can't. There's no excuse now. It's enough's enough. Brian, there's Brian, friend of the program, $10, our guy, diehard, the man. I love this pod. I'm expecting a big splash move on the defense, and I know they're going in on big names, and Mike can kick rocks. Love you both. We love you, Brian. And listen, there's not a fan base that deserves it more, right? Like the minute I put out that Milton Williams acquisition, I had Eagle fans and Patriot fans in my mention saying, F the Cardinals, this is terrible. And I want to be like, suck it. Let's bring it home. Let's get this deal done. Cardinal fans deserve that. It's like, Bo, we talked about it off air today. They have to have a move that people can get around, people can rally around. They haven't had that yet. And it's not always cosmetic like that. Like some free agencies obviously are different. This is very obvious. Like you have no beacon of hope up front if you bargain bin shop again. Like everybody understands the task at hand. Ossenfort gets it. I put it at the top of my article. He understands the assignment, but can he execute, right? He knows what his problem is, but does he have the tools to fix it?
I mean, it's just such a long, slow burn if you're trying to fill all your holes via the draft.
You'll get fired. You're going to get fired.
Yeah, you're not going to be long for this world. So yeah, you got to back up, what you say, and it's supplement for free agency. You got to supplement in a big way. One of the not overlooked position groups, but underserved position groups for the last 2 seasons. Actually, before that, it started before the new regime took over. How about our guy Yanks, 199? Do the Cards' poor player grades impact free agency? Now we've been really trying to get down to this, and from Garofalo to Benjamin Albright to anybody we talked out there in Indianapolis when the grades came out and afterwards, they don't seem to think so. Just because ultimately it's going to come down who's going to be the highest bidder, who's going to give them the biggest contract, and then you'll start to kind of, if the money's even and you start to kind of weigh your options and put the pros and cons, I think that as far as the player grades, they probably are very low on that list and where they factor in.
I think it's money, easily number one. And I mean, JJ Watt came here. And I do think people, like, if you're Milton Williams, do you want to live in the Northeast again and play for the Patriots who get, destroyed by the Bills and have, they got some juice with Vrabel, but like they're not winning the division.
Right.
Like the Patriots are not a playoff team in the AFC. Like if the Cardinals offer more than every team available tomorrow, they will get Milton Williams. If it's close, you're going to have to lean on your head coach. And you should feel good about that. If it's not close, then was just not good luck. Not good luck. Dana R.
Question, though.
Go ahead.
It's a fair question, though. Absolutely. Because it is such a jarring when you're 32 out of 32, you're dead last. Like you would think that it has some sort of ramifications, and it does. But that comes to kind of keeping the player happy after you get him in house.
I think it would be more so like, if this was like recruiting for college football and like you had people with options and they came here and they hadn't made their money yet and they're like, who's going to put me in best position to succeed? And they saw the Cardinals facility, they'd probably be like, no, thanks.
Yeah.
But these are guys that Milton Williams just won a Super Bowl. Milton Williams has an established brand. Milton Williams, there's comfort in being paid and there's comfort in knowing who's paying you. And it was your former defensive coordinator who, helped make sure that you were an Eagle once upon a time.
We're hitting 1,900 live viewers. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Dana R., ball knower.
Yeah.
Defensive tackle trade and extend the guy if free agents don't please Monti? ?
I mean, I think, how do I want to put this? I think that trading for an edge rusher is the best way for them to juice up that defensive line if they can't get Milton Williams. And I think they'll be like who they sign at D tackle if they don't get Milton Williams. Like, just give me a name. Give me a name who you think like, okay, they don't get Milton Williams. What are they doing at defensive tackle?
Javon Hargrave or Jonathan Allen.
Right. 2 guys that are over 30 years old. You could also make an argument they don't sign any defensive tackles.
Right.
Because they've got
sweat. That's a sweat.
Right.
Yeah.
And then so then they pivot to what position? Edge rusher. right? Because then maybe 16 is a defensive tackle instead of an edge rusher. Well, what edge rusher is worth paying big money to? None. The answer is none. Or Josh Sweat, maybe, kind of, with a bad knee. So I think if you're just doing like process of elimination, it's like Milton's the clear target, and then you could go all these other different directions.
Yeah.
And that's fun to observe from afar, but if you're Ossenfort, that's got to be stressful.
If they get the Milton Williams deal done, right, and then you can start to look at, even if they don't get it done, you can start to look at some of these secondary edge rushers like the Malcolm Kuntzes. You got the who was it? Azeez Ojulari, potentially.
The guy out of Indy, the Colts guy.
Yeah. Yep.
But again, like
you mentioned Jeffrey Simmons potentially. Could Ossenfort try to reunite with a guy he was he's very familiar with from Tennessee, who's clearly rebuilding.
Yeah, like they're stripping it down. They have no good players left, but Simmons, like it'll be that kind of move. You have to do that kind of move. You got to get, here's what I'm going to put this out there. You have to get an impact defensive lineman 30 years old and under. Somebody who will command over $20 million a year that can come in with his chest puffed out at training camp and be like, everybody follows me. And that Mikael Williams at pick 16 and Darius Robinson and B.J. Ojulari and Baron Bryan and Zaven Collins can all follow into battle. Because I'm going to tell you right now, as we kicked off the show, the Seahawks won a game last year in spite of Geno Smith. They won with straight defense and Leonard Williams against the Jets. They feel like if their defense is that good, it's like, we don't need DK Metcalf. We're going to try to upgrade a quarterback. Like, we may not agree with what they're doing, but they know, like, our offense blew it for us last year, and we're taking a sledgehammer to this thing. That's not Mike McDonald's unit. He's like, we're changing this up. And then the LA Rams are like, Matthew Stafford's old. He's got a couple years left. Let's try to win a Super Bowl. Cardinals are like, what do you got? What do you got? And we know the San Francisco is always going to be well coached. So,
right.
Signing Javon Hargraves as your only move after he was just cut by the Niners, that ain't it, bro. That ain't going to get it done.
Be a tough look. 199. Connor is exactly right. Feels like Christmas Eve. And if you're sitting here and your selling point to Milton Williams, what I know you talked about, obviously, just it's a destination here, Phoenix, the Valley of the Sun. It should trump Foxborough, the Boston metropolitan area out there, the cold weather. But really to provide Milton Williams not only this big time contract that's going to put him with the likes of Justin Matabuke, Christian Wilkins, ahead of that Chris Jones, some big time defensive linemen. You put him in, you make him feel financially feel respected, but then you're giving him something he never received with Philadelphia. He was always playing second, third fiddle with the Eagles. It's like, no, this is your defensive line. That's your room. We're reconnecting you with Jonathan Gannon. Like, if I'm Jonathan Gannon, I'm Nick Rallis, and I get an opportunity to talk to Milton Williams, I'm saying, hey man, like we're handing the keys to you. This is your defense. You come in here, you've got the rings, exactly what we expect from you as far as being a leader, as far as lock it in your process and get these guys ready to play. We know what you bring on the field, but we want you to lead this room, be the face of our defense. And it's kind of, it's revamp here. Come on over here. We'll make sure you get paid what you're worth, but we're offering you something that these other teams can't. Like, if you go to New England, you're like one of the few pieces. Like, you come here, like, you change some things.
And I think that's exactly what we've been hinting at. Keep plugging my article. Go check out everybody's work at gophnx.com, by the way. Become a diehard. Pick up a free hat and or shirt. We're running a special, I think this week, where diehards memberships are $38, and you get a free piece of merch. So in it, I dropped this nugget of, like, the Cardinals think that if they can reel a big fish in early, that they can use that player, not like have that player go out and recruit for them or whatever, but use that player in negotiations with other players. Like, look what we're building, right?
Mm-hmm.
Come be a part of this, right? But the hardest fish is that first fish to get on the reel. The hardest one is that first one to get. And I'm with you. I think you said it perfectly. You just tell Milton Williams, like, okay, you were part of something maybe greater than yourself in Philadelphia. Now help me build this. Hey, you know me, you know Nick Rollis, you know that you watch this team from afar, that this team beat you 2 years ago. We all remember that game in week 17, 2 years ago. Like, come here and be the anchor of our defensive line for a team that we feel like is right there. We are right there. We're 8-9. We need you to put us over the top. And here, oh, by the way, here's $23 million a year. And you get to live in Paradise Valley or North Phoenix or Scottsdale or wherever you want to be.
We're going to do what Philly couldn't do, pay you handsomely, give you the opportunity you've probably always been seeking, and then continue to kind of be an extension of what you did on that defense and continue to put belt to ass on the opposing offenses. That's really what it is. And you just have to be, and it sounds like Cardinals are going to be as competitive as they possibly could be with this offer. Like, what's he know about New England? Like, what is New England going to have? Like, nobody's buying it's the old Belichick Brady days any longer. Like, that's been long over.
Do you think that, and I have no idea, like Greg Bedard, who covers the Patriots, said like 10 days ago or a week ago, like they're going to be big on Milton Williams, like because they had money and they need defensive line help. Well, they have since signed Harold Landry. Now, they don't play the same position. They still have a ton of money. But, like, do you think that changes things for them? Like, do you think they could go into free agency and say to themselves, like, well, we got a defensive lineman, right? We could go big on Milton Williams, but maybe we don't have to go as big as we would have before. I know it's not apples and oranges with the same position unit, but I do think, like, they're not going to come away empty-handed. I mean, shoot, like, they're in year one of their rebuild. Year two, they already got a better edge rusher than the Cardinals have had in 3 years.
Right. It's not like it's a different team than they were last year, where they couldn't get Calvin Ridley, Brandon Ayuk, or anybody that they tried to. Yeah, nobody wanted to go there because they saw the writing on the wall. Vrabel changes things, no doubt about it. I think he legitimizes them. But you got Christian Darrisaw, who's going to be Christian Barrymore, who's going to be still the anchor of that defensive line. You know, do you want to play?
Yeah.
Is it important to you to have that running mate, or do you want come in and join Darius Robinson and lead the charge?
Yeah, it's interesting. Brian, once again, $5. Appreciate you, my guy. Love this pod, but I am confident we'll have a fun pod tomorrow. And I'm the president of the Darius Robinson fan club. All else failed. Yeah, Brian had a great pick with one of his kids in a D-Rob jersey. Got a retweet from Darius Robinson. Bo, you chatted with D-Rob late last week. Again, the best thing for Darius Robinson is to come in with a clean bill of health and minimal expectations to save please save us in October, November of last year. It's like, no, pay Milton Williams to carry the load. And then Darius Robinson can be really not a second-year player, really a first-year player after being hurt last year.
Well, yeah. And also, like, to your point, where you're not going to put the pressure like that was put on Darius Robinson, fair or unfair, mostly unfair, like to lead the way as a rookie, as the 27th overall pick. If you can get somebody, a veteran presence that's seen it all, like Milton Williams, I mean, that really helps, instead of being like, hey, we're going to get Walter Nolan at 16th overall and like expect him to transform our defense. That's also unfair. Great chat there from Brian. I like to see him under his usual username. Instead of masquerading as somebody else. We've just hit the 2K mark. Unbelievable. 2,000 people joined this Fanboy podcast here at 9:45 Arizona local time. Like this video, subscribe to PHNX Sports. Louis S. Vasquez, $4.99, praying Monti cooks tomorrow. Love the pod. Let's go Cards. Thank you, Louis.
Thank you, Louise. I know somebody asked if there'd be an emergency pod tomorrow. Bo will be on emergency pod standby. So there will be an emergency pod, and then we will, regardless of emergency pods, no emergency pods, we will have our regular show tomorrow at 4:30. And if there's nothing to discuss, then we will bring our pitchforks. And if there's plenty to celebrate, we will do so. Have you thought about tomorrow? We got almost 2,100 people watching right now. Have you thought about they make the big move tomorrow, like what your drink order is? I'm assuming you're going to go like Starbucks.
No, I mean, I want to get on the mic in this camera as quick as possible. So I'm going to pre-purchase something. I'll bring it in studio. I'll probably stop by like Circle K, make sure I'm loaded up, and I can just, like you said, Stone Cold Steve Austin, just a couple cold brews over the top of my head and just pour it in my mouth. It would be, that's really what I want.
I think I'm going to do some kind of like cake. I think I didn't get cake on my birthday. Bo and Damon ate a cake in front of me in the studio. I took my family out for brunch today. My son got these s'mores pancakes that I always help him finish. Couldn't do that today. So I'm doing like either like an ice cream cake, or we're going to go with just like double fudge. I like chocolate cake with chocolate frosting. I think this is what I'm going to do. And it's just going to be sitting right next to me here, and break glass in case of emergency. Like
it's going to be the saddest. What's going to be this? We're just setting ourselves up.
We are
just devastation and sadness and just disappointment. We're going to have our things right there on standby, and they're just going to sit idle and untouched.
Can I just say something too? Because some people are asking, because they're trying to understand the vices, like what constitutes a big ticket move. I feel like if you have to ask if it's a big ticket move, then it's not one. Like if it's a corner like we suggested, and that corner gets like a 3-year deal, and it's like $25-30 million total, $40 million. Like we're talking about probably a 4-year deal for big money. I mean, yeah, Nick, I hope he gets 5 big boons tomorrow. Monty, what are you going to do? I hope 9:01 a.m. local time, because the Milton domino falls. Here's what I'm going to say. I get the sense, and I could have egg on my face, and maybe things change within the next 12 hours. I'm not sure that gets done right away. People I talked to earlier today, it's like I think they have to get some pitches in. I think that is an area where like I could see that lingering a little bit. And maybe I'm proven wrong. Maybe I have egg on my face and it's done right away and we can celebrate. But where's the fun in that? But I do think that could take a minute. That could take a minute.
Yeah, I'm not expecting 9:01, because then you would be like, okay, there was some tampering, and you hope that the Cardinals are staying away from that after their coach search went horribly wrong. Especially when you look at like where Milton's coming from, they're coming after him. We saw the thing with Kirk Cousins last year, and I think they avoided disaster there. And the Eagles avoided disaster as well themselves, but I'm sure like the league's going to be on high alert this time around.
Can we talk about it real quick? I know we got more super chats. Like, what do we hope Seattle gets a quarterback? Because like I feel like the Darnold stuff, there's momentum there. Rossini's like he's the favorite, but they could do Aaron Rodgers. Like we're rooting for Aaron Rodgers or Kirk Cousins in Seattle, right? Like we're not rooting. Darnold still is not impenetrable, but like we want them to have to go sign the biggest bridge quarterback on his last legs as possible.
Yes. You want somebody that can completely like throw the catastrophic backbreaking pick that can completely sully and torpedo a strong defensive performance, which I think Darnold is still fully capable of doing. And also he's going to have JSN to throw to, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Barring, what they do this week. And I'm not really impressed by the free agent wide receivers really. And then the draft is not that deep unless they're going to get, a T-Mac or a Burton early on, which they could do was it 18? Is that where they are?
Yeah.
So I'm fascinated to see how that goes, but it's strange to me that they're going to be viewed as this free agent destination after getting rid of their, two of their mainstays at the wide receiver position. Sure, JSN is impressive, and he was the right guy to hang on to, but I can't imagine them being like, oh, okay, I want to go there.
They're a defensive team.
Yeah.
And they're throwing stuff at the wall on offense. Blow Brock back again, 199. Joe Blow is short for Johnny the Venerable and Blow Brock. I didn't know that. Well, that's good to know. We're learning things here on a Cards After Dark. We appreciate you, Blow Brock. Let's see. We got 2,100 people watching live. You guys are unbelievable. Again, hit that like button. I'm producing this show tonight with Bo, so I have no idea what we're at with likes, but I'm just going to assume we're at 2,000 likes because we have 2,000 people watching. That's science, right?
Yeah.
Let's pull this up here. Notable available edges and defensive linemen here. Myles Garrett, cross him off.
And Landry.
Parsons, Reddick, Sweat, Milton Williams, Trey Hendrickson, Jonathan Allen. We'll get some of these updated for this week here. But again, like, if you're asking me my preference, like, Milton Williams is atop that list. And then, like, I still think something tells me if you can go out and get an edge rusher on top of what you did with Baron Browning, I think it would be in your best interest. I just don't, like, what if the Hassan Reddick market plays to your benefit and you're just like, oh, there's a cute little 1-year deal? Or, of course, the big ticket move would be Trey Hendrickson. Like, somebody floated this out to me over the phone today. It's like, what if the Bengals wanted to flip picks in the first round and then you did a deal for a pick later on? I'm like, okay, no issue with that. Go from 16 to what? What do they have? 19, 18, 19? And then, because they didn't make the playoffs. So you swap picks with them in the first round, and then, and then you give them 47. I know that'd be a lot, but I mean, still, I think the Cardinals would do that deal. I think the Cardinals, they're not giving up a first round pick for Trey Hendrickson, but they would not have. The guy has 35 sacks in 2 years. I see a lot of people are like 30 years old. It's like he just turned 30 in December, right? I think you can get creative. I think you got to allow Bengal ownership and front office to show their fan base, like, hey, we're saving face here. Look, we're moving up in the first round. Look, we got pick 47. Awesome. Congratulations. You're a cheap franchise.
Johnny, we're about to eclipse 300 likes on the show tonight. So
not enough.
Love that. Love that. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in tonight.
Yes, thank you, guys.
It's a little impromptu free agent primer. I look at this and it's just the guys that are available that wouldn't take any draft capital to get on your team are the best right now. And Jonathan Allen, like, I'm not going to turn my nose at it. Like, that's an improvement, but ultimately you want the guy in the bottom of this, Milton Williams, and then I think you pivot, you go Sweat, and then then you start to kind of look at the not the panic button, but you gotta find ways to improve this team, and now it's not as easy as it was before, as far as trying to just give the right free agent deal to the top free agent.
And again, Jonathan Allen, I like him as a player, and I think he's going to be coveted, but he was just cut from a Washington team in the NFC Championship.
Right.
Game. So they're like, we can do better. We need better defensive linemen, and the Cardinals don't have anybody capable like Jonathan Allen. So it's like the haves and the have-nots. Now, it's not, the Cardinals roster is not like poverty. They have good players, but I just think, I'm not sure around the NFL there's a talent deficiency on a team as stark as the Cardinals defensive line with the rest of the roster.
Yeah.
Wow, that's Andrew trying to get it. Things are getting weird here after Cards After Dark here.
We expected that much, right?
Yeah.
We did.
Being in charge of production here, I get to go through all these graphics. Remember this? Billy Price working at McDonald's. That's good. Rams are dead 3 times in a row. That didn't age particularly well. Here's a good one here. If you're a diehard, become a diehard right now. You get discount on all of our events. You get the member Discord. I couldn't even keep up with today. Like, I was trying to drop in like little quips and like say fun stuff, and I'm like, this is going fast and furious. So
yeah, you got stiff armed. Like, you got stiff armed to the ground.
Get away from me, Johnny. We're having our own dialogue here, but it's in all seriousness, super welcoming community. Become a diehard right now. And then, of course, the chef's kiss, the coup de grace. How much longer it is poverty, and how much longer is this going on? Give me a time tomorrow where this is where this is going to happen. I've got watermelon Sour Patch Kids in my house, by the way. They're on standby.
I'm proud of you. You stay ready so you don't have to get ready, and that's just preparation. The process is locked in. It's been locked in since February 10th.
God, that ice cream looks good on this graphic, doesn't it? Oh man, that looks so good.
That cup of coffee, there's nothing more than I want to just wake up and sip it.
You'd probably kill for some Combine Media Room coffee right now.
Yeah.
As watered down poison as that was. Bo Dirt's asking, sorry to ask, what's the Discord? It is just like an open, what do you call it? Chat?
Yeah, it's like the chat that we have here on the YouTube page, but it's ongoing 24/7. You get access to it by becoming diehard. Go phnx.com. We got a great deal coming up where it's, I think Johnny said $38 for the entire year. You get that access to that Discord, and the conversation never stops. Not even for our sweet Johnny Venerable, who's just trying to make some drop some zings in there, and he's getting they're just like, nobody cares. They're just like, we want to talk ball.
We have a tremendous diehard community. If you are not a diehard and you opt to join us here, you see this shirt right here, you can get for free. And you tag us on Twitter, immediate retweet, immediate follow by the beat account. We appreciate that. But yeah, become a diehard. It's growing every day. I saw our guy, who'd you just put up on the screen? Down 30 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Tim.
unbelievable. Is that Tim, our guy Tim? Hey, down 30 pounds since February 10th, trying to get to 50 by the draft. Unbelievable, Tim. Well, congratulations. I wish I could say like I've dropped weight during this, but I think I'm probably just about the same. I've been overeating in other areas, and it's just not. I'm probably healthier inside, but like cosmetically, I just look the same. But congratulations, Tim.
It's because you never stopped having those mochas, even after we caught you red-handed.
That's not true. That's not
true. If anybody's wondering about that, Johnny, he said he would abstain from sweet treats, but in Indianapolis, right in front of me, ordered a iced mocha, which if you're in the know, you don't have to be a barista to know this. It's espresso and chocolate syrup.
No, I think you're a little confused. By the way, that was a clerical error. ZT Mocha Gate. We got another super chat. Easy Money Chubbs, one of our friends of the show. Good to see Easy Money Chubbs, $4.99. This always makes me think of Durant when he throws his easy money in here. If we strike out for some reason in the edge DN market, how does that change the draft strategy? Does front office get more aggressive in the trade market? I mean, like, it's a great question. They love this edge class, which is, again, like, Cardinal fans don't want to hear that. Cardinal fans know it's a good edge class, but the edge class can't fix all your problems, right? Get these comments off the screen. I want to get the Easy Money.
This is a great one. Hold on, that was a great one.
What it was?
AZ Moses, 89.
Yes,
made the plunge, became a diehard. Let's
go. Let's go.
I'll put up Easy Money Chubbs again.
I just feel like Easy Money Chubbs, like, you can't. What are the optics going to be if they don't get Milton Williams and they don't trade for Hendrickson and they don't sign Josh Sweat? Let's just put those three players out there. That's just not good living if you're Ossenfort. If you have to sell people on, if this happens, then this happens, and we like this trajectory here, and it's just, people are going to be upset. And, like, don't you feel like the Will Fries thing is not happening?
Yes. I don't think it's happening. It's just Will Fries is Mike, Dirty Mike told us on Thursday, Mike Garofalo, he's going to be a highly paid man. He's the top guard on the market that's going to go crazy like it did last year.
I guess
I'd be pleasantly surprised, because I think he's a definite upgrade. But man, to pay $100 million to a guy who's a former 7th rounder makes you feel a little uneasy.
I also don't know if they can trust Mekhi Becton. I don't, with respect to Mekhi Becton.
It's going to be significantly lower, I would anticipate, than Will Fries is going to get. But yeah, look, you're talking Easy Money Chubbs, like the worst of all realities. You can't, like, that's when you start to say, okay, can this guy do it? Is he capable of doing it without having like a stacked deck? You got to be able to improve your team when necessary. You can't just have like, well, they've drafted and developed well for 3 straight years. Maybe I'll give them a chance. Like, they have the money. They have to be able to go negotiate a deal and outbid and win against another team that's going in for the services of the same player.
Well said. Sick sea chickens can be forced to do Hard Knocks. I'm into that.
Pour one out for Hard Knocks. Joe Shane killed it.
You know who killed it was
this show.
HBO when they HBO when they came on this show teased something for next week. We were giving them free publicity, and they teased something, and then Cardinals nixed it, and then basically we got blackballed by Hard Knocks. But yeah, also the Seahawks could be on it. Man, think about it. That's a perfect encapsulation of what we've had to deal with and why we deserve a big week. Is we covered Hard Knocks because the team was unwatchable and Kyler Murray had torn his ACL. So it's like, let's just cover the Hard Knocks games or the Hard Knocks episodes. Not good. What is good is this community tonight. Just shy of 2,200 people watching live right now. If you have not subscribed to PHNX Sports already, in all seriousness, do it now. Get us to 40,000 subscribers. Join the diehard community. Okay. If you have not become one already, if you have questions, shoot us DMs. Our DMs are wide open. Tag us on Twitter. We got so much good stuff for this offseason plan. If you're the first time watching this, we got Cardinal players we feel like are going to be in the mix this offseason. We've got Mike Garafolo every 2 weeks. We've got an unbelievable draft party. People are asking for mock drafts. Come on now.
It's free agency, man. It's free agency eve.
It's like when you ask Mike Garafolo, what about team visits? And he's like, Bo, I can't even entertain that unless it's Scatterboo. No questions.
Yeah, I was told me just go F myself, like straight to my face, but he's too much of a gentleman. CJ, I couldn't watch Hard Knocks because it was so manufactured. It felt like the content on AZ Cardinals website. Great call.
It was basically the same thing. It was like Hard Knocks presented by the team, which that's not, and the team does good stuff, but that's not what Hard Knocks is.
Don't say that, ZT. They will be back in full force. You're going to be sick of all the mock drafts that we're going to do. Our draft content after the free agency is going to take off.
We overdid it with mocks last year because of Marv and we were sickos with the Vikings. But this year I think we've done a good job like easing into it. And then by the time it really kicks in, it's going to be like, oh, the draft's in 2 weeks? Hell yeah. Al Gordon, $9.99. First time on live. Well, hey, Al, good to see you, my guy. Oh, I saw Al on Twitter. Awesome. Thank you so much for jumping in. You guys are awesome. Heard Kyler had a growth spurt in the offseason. Wow, that'd be interesting. He's 6'3". Let's go. Have my Nerds Gummy Clusters ready tomorrow. I love Nerds Gummy Clusters. Those are fantastic. You know who else likes Nerds? Jonathan Gannon likes Nerds. He told us in their interview room, but we're like, JGF's with Nerds? That's interesting. But Al, we appreciate you, my guy. He was looking for where to find this, where to find the show. This is where you find it, my friend.
Draft party news soon. Can we say anything about the draft party?
I can tell you that the tickets sold out in like 10 days last year, and we're trying to increase capacity with where we're going to have it at, and we're going to give you guys all the details. If we push our leadership, hopefully like this week, we'll try to get some news out.
How about Joe Kennedy checking in, $4.99. Would we even want someone out of the Colts locker room?
It's a great question. I don't want. Did you guys watch the Colts defense this year? It was atrocious. That edge rusher from the Colts, if they sign him to like a prove it futures deal because he had 8 sacks a year ago, like get out of here with that. You with Baron Browning, you got this is our experiment like ceiling guy. I don't want that. If you're going to go and sign an edge rusher, get a real edge rusher. No more of these tweener guys. The Colts are desperate to improve their defense, and they don't want this dude. Well, why aren't they re-signing him? They have money. They're not paying Anthony Richardson any money. They don't have any good players. So I'm with you, Joey Kennedy. What's the red flag with some of these franchises that have needs at these positions? They're like, you can walk. It'd be like the Cardinals letting. I don't even know. They haven't any good free agents because Keim couldn't draft anybody good. But, you know.
You're going to be making the case for that Colts softball linebacker or outside linebacker as you line up a line of nerds in front of you because you're sick.
I won't. I have integrity. I won't do that.
Our guy, Easy Money Chubbs. The explanation, the origin of his name. I chose Easy Money because I work in a pawn shop. Very nice.
Let's hope the Cardinals aren't going on discounts this week. Easy Money.
Showing up. Yeah, looking for some players. Yeah,
what can you give me for I don't even know. I don't want to dog a player. But
what can I get for the Milton Williams? Or what can you give me for an edge rusher? The best I can give you is Malcolm Kuntz and a prove it year. What do you think?
Malcolm Coons, how many sacks he had last year? None. He was injured. Got it. Dennis Pinto Gardak. You guys are unbelievable. What is going to happen with our guy Gardak? You think he's going to get signed in the month of March? I think could be a bet.
Broncos, maybe.
Broncos, you think?
Reunite there with DJ.
Oh man, I got some news. It's not real news. It's not real news, but it's real news to me. Okay. A text message from Coach Starks, diehard friend of the program, says he's got this delicious bundt cake coming to my house tomorrow to celebrate. What a gentleman and a scholar. That's unbelievable. I've never needed anything more. That's unbelievable. Coach
the same guy who's tweeting you pictures of his pie, just knowing that it's just putting you in excruciating pain that you can't have any. He's man. He's coming through. You're gonna get is it nothing bundt cake?
I mean, if it's from Coach Starks, it's high class. But he's got it advertised in my article. But check out Coach Starks, unbelievable guy, unbelievable human being. Johnny bundt cake Venerable. Yeah, I'll shotgun a bundt cake. I have no issue with that. They'll probably try to get my bundt cake. My kids are on spring break. They're getting stiff-armed hard. They're not getting anywhere near this bundt cake, Tim. AZ Moses 89, $10 super chat. You guys are unbelievable. We have like 40 super chats. First PHNX Cardinals podcast I watched after the Chargers game in 2022, and I heard JV's passionate pleas to move off of Cliff. Yikes. Love this podcast and the community you guys built. Let's go crazy tomorrow. We appreciate you, AZ Moses, and I'm glad you found us. I'm going to tell you right now, we're not going anywhere. And the reason we're not going anywhere is because we got all of you right now, almost 2,300 people watching live, like the sickos we are on a Sunday night to get this team to where we want it to be.
Johnny Sweet Truth from Tivato. Yeah, that game was a Johnny V special because not only was it that they blew a lead in the last seconds of the game, but Isaiah Simmons got burned.
Atrocious.
Got burned for the touchdown and then the game-winning 2-point conversion. So you knew that post game had a little extra sauce from Johnny Venerable.
Gannon and Ossenfort immediately got to town, and they got around Isaiah Simmons for an hour, and they were like, get out of here. People were like, he's going to be a safety for JG. And they're like, he was dogging it in that like red and white scrimmage. And like that clip went viral. Somebody posted it. I didn't post it on Twitter, and then he was gone like the next day. But yeah, he's making Pro Bowls for sure. Terrence Tidbits, $4.99. I know it's free agency, but y'all think Genty should be a top 10 pick? Scatterbo against Texas was more impressive than Genty against Penn State. I think the league loves Genty because of his physical traits. He's more explosive, but I'm with you. Like, I thought Scatterbo did more. I don't want to say more with less. I think they're probably equal in terms of like where their programs were at. I think this is a really good running back class. I would not feel comfortable taking a running back in the top 10. Like the Raiders are going to take Genty out. Benjamin Albright said that on our show, and now it feels like that's going to happen with Geno Smith. But like Jahmyr Gibbs went to a team that already had a back with a loaded roster. I mean, like what kind of impact has Bijan Robinson made like toward winning, Yeah,
his misusage has been on full display, but at the same time, it hasn't translated to the Falcons getting over the hump. Hasn't been the difference maker that they need. They could probably utilize those top 10 picks in a different way. But yeah, I mean, you can look at the college football playoff and see that Cam obviously carried what Arizona State was able to accomplish, and Genty was bottled up for the most part against Penn State. But as far as like the job interview, getting to there, like Genty's going to be more just impressive as far as what he can do physically, what he's going to put on display, like the tape. Like they're still going to be blown away by that.
Better prospect.
The NFL is just going to view a player like Genty just a little bit, hold him in higher regard than Scat, who's I think now checking in about RB4 in this draft, RB3 or 4.
It's a good point by Tim. Genty has more physical NFL traits. Scatterbo has not a lot of measurables. things that NFL teams look for: heart, drive, and ability to make plays, but not many NFL traits. And he's helping himself. He helped himself at the combine, and he's gonna help himself at his pro day. Like, I think we all agree. Like, Bo, Scadaboo's gonna be a top 100 pick. Like, Scadaboo's going day 2 of the draft. And if you're Cam Scadaboo, that's unbelievable.
Yeah,
that is unbelievable. Genty, people thought coming into this year was a Heisman candidate. No, I'm not, Cards Kingdom. I am not. We are better than that on this show. We don't sacrifice. We don't bend our moral values.
I think there's even guys that we have on our current list that we said was kind of going to tell us if we could break our fast. That I might make the case like, is this really worth it? Is this worthy?
What about like a Reddick?
Yeah, we'll get to that if we fall that far down. If we get that down tremendous, times will be tough.
Go Reddick and Hardgraves, we need to. It's like that meme. It's time to have a dialogue. That's what we'll be doing.
That's the pawn shop negotiation. It's like, I'd like a Milton Williams and a Josh Sweat. It's like, how would you take? How about Hassan Reddick and Javon Hargraves, who started in 2022, not 2024?
You guys are unbelievable. Steady as always. I've tried to end the show a handful of times, and you guys just keep coming. We'll do more of these this off season. If our leadership lets us after this one, but I think everybody understands what's at stake here.
After I was showing graphics on my phone, we might get shut down after this.
Hey, there's our boss, Espo, right here. He probably wants to see you do the graphic thing again, Bo. Can you pull that up?
Bo's got the NPR voice on. Family must be. You're exactly right. I think my wife is just feet away from me trying to get some sleep, and I'm keeping her up because I want to talk some ball.
All right, let's do some final thoughts. 2,300 watching live again. If you're watching on Twitter, jump on over. GoPHNX.com. YouTube, 40,000 subscribers we're working toward. We got almost 350 likes on this show. The Arizona Cardinals are in a position tomorrow to do something they haven't done since Jared Valdir, Mike Iupati, J.J. Watt, and give out a big-ticket contract. And it's tough this year. This free agency class is not great, but the best overall player is available. As of right now at 10:12 p.m. Arizona time, Milton Williams is scheduled to be a free agent. And so if you're in a position like Monti Ossenfort, it's a cruel game because you're being asked to do something Cardinals really have never done. Get the best overall free agent. But maybe you've set yourself up to have success in a weird way where you haven't spent money, you have your draft picks, and you have the best recruiting tool, which is his former DC, his beloved, Jonathan Gannon. So it feels like as crazy as it sounds, nothing's ever won in free agency. It feels like a monumental day for the franchise tomorrow, one way or the other.
Right. And you've got the cap space everything that's right there. Your bags are packed. You got your tickets. You just got to get on your plane and land this thing.
Yeah.
With Milton Williams. And it sounds like everything's in place for them to do that. They can put together a competitive offer, if not the best offer, for the guy that hasn't played over 50% of his snaps in his career. We know kind of the suspects that are in this. And I think that the Cardinals have every ability to beat them out as far as recruiting Milton Williams to rejoin Jonathan Gannon, his first defensive draft pick as DC there in Philadelphia. I think they have as good a chance as anybody else, any other team come tomorrow to land Milton Williams.
Potentially our last super chat, over 50 super chats. Unbelievable. Minsky, $4.99. Love this.
Let's go.
From your desert to mine, can I become a diehard in Dubai? You absolutely can. If you need more info, Minsky, just message us off air. It's in the show description. Get you a t-shirt, get you set up in the Discord, get you access to everything at GoPHNX.com. Minsky, we would love to have you as a part of the diehard community. We appreciate you, my friend.
All right. For our GM here saying caffeine chocolate on me when they make a huge signing tomorrow. I appreciate that, Espo. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Over 2,300 strong tonight. Over 300 likes as I'm seeing. Let's get it up towards 500 for the morning. 9 a.m. Arizona time. That is when the tampering period opens, and hopefully our beloved Arizona Cardinals are going to be making a big splash signing. If they do, of course, emergency pod will be in full force. And then we'll have our show live at 4:30 regardless. Make sure you're following along at PHNX_Cardinals, Twitter, Instagram. Thank you to everybody being here. Thank you to Johnny V. Tremendous Sunday for our guy. Just crushing it with content on the Twitter streets. Just right up there with the moves that were being made.
Yeah, this is a better hit the like. There's Sweet Baby Trey.
There it is. Look at you just producing it. You do it all. He wears so many hats. Johnny Venerable. Follow him on Twitter. Guys, gals, enjoy the rest of your Sunday night, your weekend. But tomorrow is Christmas morning for this podcast. The tampering period is nearly upon us. Enjoy that sleep. Go and dream of Milton Williams and Josh Sweat and all those free agents wearing Cardinals uniforms tonight, and then wake up and we'll find them underneath our Christmas tree. Thank you to everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow. See you then.
We all silly like the mayor.